So, hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Before this, I was mainly focusing on the UPSC Civil Services examination, but of late, I had some queries regarding the UPSC Combined Medical Services examination, which I had cleared way back in 2022. So, I'd like to talk about the most important step for UPSC CMS Combined Medical Service DAF filling. Please remember that even before your personality test, your DAF enters the room. So, this filling of DAF is the most important step which will determine your score in the personality test. So, let's get started. What all you have to fill in your DAF, I guess everybody knows, but I'll just recap. The first thing is, of course, your name, which you will fill. Why this is relevant? In the personality test, sometimes the first question can be regarding your name. What does it mean? Especially if you have a very somewhat different name, then be prepared for this question. Sometimes they also, to just throw you off a bit, make the the conversation a bit casual. They can ask you who named you. So these questions are generic questions, but be well versed with it so that such questions don't seem out of the blue for you. Second thing is location, where you were born, where you've done your schooling from, and most important, your MBBS college city. So one candidate was asked that, so you've done your MBBS from Mumbai, can you tell me about this? Can you tell me this about Mumbai? Anything about that city. Be just in brief, read about the city and the state, but just in brief, because in CMS such questions are rarely asked, but sometimes the first few questions can be on this, because the interview or the personality test mainly is technical, but these questions can be asked. So while filling each and every detail, try to be as brief as possible. Some people mention their place of residence, place of birth is different. Somewhat, if you can make it lesser, then go for lesser. Some people just spread it across. They've done their MBBS from some other place, 10th from some other place, 12th from some other place. So you have more to prepare. Keep everything in brief. Just read something about it. Don't go empty. Then father and mother's name usually is not asked, but their occupation, you can expect a question. Especially if your parents are also doctors. Sometimes they ask you, so okay, what does your father do? What is he practicing? Can you tell me about this stream more? Sometimes they can link a question between, okay, so your mother is a teacher. How will you integrate medical education with primary school teaching? These questions have been asked even in CMS interview. So focus on this aspect also. Then education. Everybody knows what to fill. You will fill your class 10th details, your class 12th details, and MBBS. Okay. Now, sometimes you have to also mention, not sometimes, you also mention the subjects here. To just throw you off balance, they can sometime ask a question like, okay, so you studied computer applications in class 10th. Can you tell me something about computers? Be prepared for such questions. Also remember, even if you're not able to answer, just respectfully say, sir, I studied it around 7, 8, 10 years ago, so I don't exactly recall. But in brief, you should know something. And please, if the subject is like a Hindi or an English literature, English, everybody has these two subjects usually. So remember something, which all books were in your syllabus, one or two short story poem which you read in class 10th or 12th. I guess everybody remembers this. But before the interview, just for 15-20 minutes in your interview prep, just think about this aspect also, which sometimes gets missed. And then the most important aspect is the particulars. Now this is the area from which one question is always asked. See, these 4 topics, a question can be asked, but it's a very low probability, especially in the CMS personality test. But these particulars, or it's commonly called as the hobby section, expect a question definitely from this. And moreover, it's the first question from this, whatever I'm telling you, because in CMS, the interview is very technical, which we'll discuss later in my next video. But here I'm just talking about how to fill the DAF. So the first column here is price medals and scholarship. In my case, I had the Tata Trust scholarship. I had been bestowed with the scholarship for 3 times, so I had mentioned this. Even if you haven't won this scholarship, during your college life, there are a large number of events, from debating to about a symposium, case presentation. Every medico in some place or the other has participated in one or the other debate. Even if you have participated, mention it. Now, I refuse to believe that there is a medico out there who hasn't participated in any case presentation. You have, in general, also presented a case before your faculty members, right? That's also a form of case presentation. So never leave this blank. Do not leave this blank. If you can't think of anything, just say case presentation or a symposium. Case presentation, don't say, and whenever it's asked, don't of course say that I presented it during the Viva. Say there was a case presentation competition and I participated in that in my college. Most college has this case presentation as an event, annual event. So please don't leave this blank. This is very important because this is something which should be there. Okay. And next thing is team or sports. Okay. In my case, I had left this blank. Nothing was there because if the exact wording is, if you have participated in a sport at university level or something of this sort, not at college level. But if you play any sport, which is most commonly cricket or football in India, you can mention it. Say you were part of the college team which participated at the inter-university level or the intra level at the region, at the local level. You can just make sure that if you are saying, writing this, expect a question. A commonly asked question, especially if somebody has mentioned football, they ask sometimes technical details also, that what is the offside rule. This was commonly asked. This is the most commonly asked question which I can remember. In cricket, technical term is, can you tell me about LBW, where the ball is exactly pitching left or right. They can even leg side mein pitch karti hai to nahi dete, all these questions can be asked. And contemporary events of the sport. In one interview, a question was asked, do you think, this is like before, this is 23 or 24, what do you think, when should Virat retire? This can also be asked to make it more casual. But remember, the question asked will be casual, but you have to remember that it's a very formal event. So in this conversation being very casual, don't get very casual in your conversation. Be very formal, answer the question which is asked, always give a balanced opinion, never use extreme things. And if you've played a sport, expect a question on this aspect also. I left this blank. Then position of in medical college, the most common position which anybody has is that of a class representative. So just mentioning it there. The question which is a very cliche question which is asked is, okay, as a class representative, what do you think are the important traits of leadership? How did it help you in medical college? Why do you think this is very important? Because you don't get much time. Basic things. And now the most important thing, extracurricular. That is hobbies. You have to fill this. Now, there's no exact individual in this world who has no hobbies. I have seen some people taking this step of DAF filling to be very, very lightly. They don't fill anything, or they fill whatever comes to their mind. Don't make this mistake. I've already mentioned prize wale mein what to fill. Do not leave this blank. Team sports ka, see, cricket every Indian knows about. Even if you've played some cricket, you can write it. You can also leave this blank. Then position of distinction, class representative, or in your school days, if you were a captain or something, you can mention this. So the first one and the last one cannot be left blank. You have to fill both these columns. What are hobbies? very commonly question, commonly asked question. Hobby is something which you do in your leisure time. You can even write stuff like watching movies, watching TV series, reading books. Please avoid, some people say, okay, something which you do in your leisure time, watching reels. You can even write this, but to make this a better DAF, please fine tune this. For example, if you're watching movies, mention science fiction or adventure movies. This will narrow the base for you, because if you say watching movies, then they can ask any question. They might ask you, okay, tell me about the classical movie Citizen Kane, which is your favorite movie from the 1950s. So don't make it very wide. You'll land yourself in trouble. Narrow it down as much as possible in a field which you know about. Most commonly, for medicos, it's science fiction, especially mostly medicos I've seen love science fiction. So science fiction, commonly asked question, which is your favorite science fiction movie. If you let's say mention it's Interstellar, expect questions on, okay, what's a wormhole, what's a black hole, this basic stuff. So only mention a category which you know about, which you actively watch. Adventure movies, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, a mixture of both. The Matrix, all these movies are very common. If you want to stand out, you can also mention watching movies, drama, crime, comedy, anything which you watch. Similar for TV series. You can mention watching comedy, or you can, even some people have mentioned watching British comedy. So, question is commonly asked, why is British comedy better than American comedy? What is the difference between both types of comedy? The end goal is make it a bit narrow so that more specific questions are asked rather than more generic question. It will help you in two ways. You can easily predict the question which they'll ask, and you'll have to prepare less. Reading books, don't mention broadly like reading non-fiction. Aisa nahi. Mention reading books on, let's say, mythology. Reading books which are biographies, which I had actually mentioned. So keeping these things in mind is very important. And the most important question which is usually asked is, which was the last movie / book / series which you watched? And then follow-up questions from this. In my case, they asked me which was the last movie you watched. Now, I named a very obscure movie which was not very popular. So, the trajectory of the interview was not on predicted lines. In your case, mention any past 6-month movie, book, etc., which, if the examiner has watched it themselves or read it themselves, so it'll be very easy. You can easily predict the trajectory of the interview. And then the last thing, but not the least, is service order. You can fill it as you like. They never question why you have filled it, but be ready for certain questions. Like, if you've filled railway as your first preference, why do you want to join railways? Why do you want to join CGHS? Whatever you have filled, you need to justify it. I'll make a separate video covering which all service order is to be filled. So I think 24th September is the last date for DAF filling. Please fine tune your DAF once again, because it will in a way decide your score even before you appear for the personality test. Even before you enter the room, you must remember your DAF enters first. First 5 minutes, the panel members have a look at your DAF, discuss, and then you're called inside. So in a way, the DAF is representing you even before you open your mouth. That's why please, filling the DAF nicely is very important. And the personality test has a very important role to play in the service which you are getting. So don't treat it lightly if you intend to join the service. Please fine tune your DAF once again by 24th. Any doubts you have, you can ask me in the comment section. So once again, I'll just recap. These questions this is very generic, rarely asked in CMS, but be prepared for these questions. What I have seen is some individuals go in with a very casual attitude. They just prepare this aspect, they forget about this. So they say, okay, what does your name mean? Okay, you were born here. Tell me about this. They're like, oh, sir, I was born there, but I did not stay, so I did not know. Not a very good answer. Okay? Particulars, please don't leave this blank. Some people commit the grave error, especially prize, medal, scholarship. हरे हर मेडिको को कुछ ना कुछ मिला ही है. And this, once again, extracurricular. You have to fill it. This, as per your choice, you might or might not fill it, but do not leave this section blank. And do not overstuff or overfill it also. Some people are, overachievers, because that tends to set the bar very high. On an average, maximum 3 entries per category. Normally, I would say only 2 entry per category. This is the golden mean or the optimum amount which you'll have to enter. Service preference mein, I'll just mention the pros and cons of each and every service in the next video. You can watch that also. So all the best for your DAF filling. How my interview was, we'll have a look at that in the next videos which will follow. So thank you for watching.